Well, well, well. Our well did not go as planned. Well, good evening, friends and followers. Today I'm here to share with you a little piece of infrastructure upgrade we just got. Over the course of the last 2 days, we got our well drilled. And drilling a well is a big gamble. You never know how deep you need to go before you'll strike that vein of water. My grandparents kind of live at the bottom of the hill. They drilled a well and it was 420 feet deep. My neighbors, up in elevation a little bit, hit water at 380. And then my parents, which is a little closer to me, hit water at about 280. So I was hoping as it came up in elevation, I'd strike the same vein and it would be even shorter. So I was thinking, maybe 225, 250, that sure would be nice. Well, they're drilling along, and good news is they hit bedrock at 40 feet, so that's not too much casing. This is casing. It's steel pipe that goes down through all the soil, which keeps the hole from collapsing on itself. Until you strike bedrock. And then once you hit bedrock, which is what all this is, ground up bedrock, it's essentially drilling through solid rock. So you have essentially a concrete core all the way down until you hit water. And so you don't need any casing at that point. So we only have 40 feet of casing, which is good. The first day they didn't get here till 2:30, got set up, got going about 3 o'clock. So they only drilled for an hour and a half or so. They got down to 160 feet, I think. And they said it was going pretty well. It was pretty consistent rock, fairly easy drilling, I guess, which was good. Came back the next morning, started drilling some more. I'm drilling some more. I set a GoPro in my kitchen window here because it's only about 30 feet from the house. And I thought, hey, I've got to go jump on a conference call, but hopefully I'll capture that moment where we hit water and it's sploosh, the whole back of the truck. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but generally when you hit water with the well, there's so much pressure when you tap into that vein, it just kabloosh, it squirts like a geyser right up the top of the pipe, and it's kind of a giant splash out the back of the truck. And I was hoping I'd get to see that, so I at least put the camera up to capture that. Well, I came back after my conference call an hour and a half, 2 hours, two and a half hours later to change the batteries on the camera because they were still drilling. And as I was changing the battery, the guy came over to me and he said, I just put on the last few sticks. We're at about 400 feet. And I went, great, because 400 feet is generally the high end of the spectrum. So I had budgeted for a 400-foot well, which is about $8,000, and I went, great, still no water. And I was hoping this was a gamble that we would strike water early and then I could save some money on the budget, which would be good because everything seems to be has gone up in price since we originally quoted it, and things keep coming up and costing more than we'd planned. So I was like, all right, this is kind of a big ticket item, one of the big things on the budget that's still somewhat flexible, so hopefully we can save some money there. And so I was excited to get the well drilled, and thinking that would kind of solidify the budget and we'd save some pennies. Well, we hit 400 feet and still no water, and they said, well, we've got enough pipe, we'll keep going for a bit and see how it goes. Well, they kept going for a bit, and I was talking to the excavator because he's putting in the septic at the same time, and I was talking to the contractor because he was here doing a few things, and I checked back in with the well guy, and he said, well, I just put up the last stick of pipe that they had on the truck, and they used it. They drilled all the pipe that they had on the truck, which brought our total well depth to 518 feet. Don't know what that's going to cost me yet, but they still didn't hit any water. So at that point, what they thought they would do was flush it out and see if we at least had a trickle. Kind of rinse out the sludge and the grime and the dust and the dirt and purge all the water out, because you use water during the drilling process. So they were going to do that, clean it out, see if we had anything. Well, they cleaned it out. I had to leave for the afternoon, and I heard back later that evening that after cleaning it out, they then pressurized it with the water in their truck that they had and compressed air, and they pressurized the whole well chamber up to about 300 psi, which they thought they'd try that first because the next thing they'd do before they drilled deeper was to bring in another rig and hydrofrac, which just pressurizes the whole column repeatedly, trying to fracture the bedrock down there at way hundreds of feet below the earth, hoping we would be near a water vein and it would shatter the bedrock and then get some water to flow in. So that was the next step, which is like pretty much a surefire way to get some flow with any luck. But after they pressurized it to 300 psi, they were like, hey, I think we've got something here. They think we've got a whole 1 gallon per minute. I was like, great, you know, that's not much more than a trickle compared to my neighbors that are pumping. Well, Grandpa at the bottom of the hill had like 100 gallons a minute. Mom and Dad had like 20 gallons a minute, I think. So they had a lot of water, and here we are essentially at a trickle. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe we'll have to frack. But they came back, they told me this morning, to drop a pebble down it and time it. A pebble about the size of my pinky. And they said if you drop it and you hear it splash in about 2 seconds, that's good, because it'll fall at about 22 feet per second. 2 seconds is good. If it's greater than 4 seconds, that's bad. Because essentially what that means is the water seeps in and then hopefully fills up the column. And if it fills up the column and you hear water in just a couple of seconds, that means it filled out all the way up a couple hundred feet of reserve, which is what we want. So when I popped the cover off this morning and dropped the pebble down it only took about 2 seconds. And the other day when I yelled down it, it was like, echo, 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 echo. You know, it was long. Today, when I yelled, it was like, echo. So that means the volume in the pipe is drastically reduced, and we have water that came up into the reserve. So that means it's good. I called them this morning and I'm like, hey, look, I dropped a pebble. It went fast. And they're like, yeah, that's great. You've got water. It's awesome. So we've got water. We struck water. We've got a low refill rate, but we've got a high reserve capacity. So that's good in the aspect that we finally struck. We don't need to go through the added expensive hydrofracking. I don't even know what that would cost. I don't even know what we're at now. My guess would be close to 10 grand. I'll find out soon. Next step on the well is, he said give him a call just about the day before the excavator is here to dig the trench, to give him a heads up. And then they'll dig a trench from here to the house, and then they will install the water line and the electrical conduit to here. And then the water actually comes 5 feet below here, so it's protected by frost, comes out of the well and straight into the house, and then the electrical conduit comes up into here, down inside, and the pump will get set probably a couple hundred feet down, and then that's how we'll get our water. Another guy on YouTube, Off Grid Build, did a really good explanation of how wells work, how the drilling process goes, so I'll go ahead and link to that, because he did a great job explaining it. I didn't want to get into that. I was just explaining my situation and a little bit of the basics, but if you want to learn more, check out that video from Off Grid Build. He did a good job explaining it. So a little bit of stress on the well, not quite as much flow as I was hoping, but we did get water, so that's always good. That's the update for this vlog. Hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Lots more is happening. Stay tuned. Catch you later. Hello? Hello? Hey! Hello down there? Water? Any water down there? I'm looking for water. You can't see it because I've got a wide angle lens on the camera right now, but with this floodlight, I can see a reflection of water down there, and I know I'm not looking 500 feet down.